All right, let's get real for a second. Not too long ago, we all thought we had AI figured out, right? We were using it for, the simple stuff, getting a quick summary of a reading assignment like 15 minutes before class started, or maybe drafting that discussion post we forgot about. We called them study hacks. We thought we were being so clever, working smarter, not harder. Turns out we were totally missing the point. See, that whole era of shortcuts, of treating this unbelievably powerful technology like some kind of party trick, that wasn't the future. As this slide says, that was just the toy phase. And I'm telling you, that phase is officially over. The entire game has changed. AI isn't just another app on your phone anymore. It's become the invisible, pulsing infrastructure of, well, everything. The economy, our jobs, and yeah, absolutely the modern classroom. You know all those old debates about whether we should ban it? They sound pretty ridiculous now, don't they? The technology is here and it is woven into the fabric of our world. So the real question for you right now isn't about whether AI is good or bad. That ship has sailed. The question is, where are you going to stand? Because a massive divide is opening up right under our feet, and the choice you make today is going to define your future long before you ever walk across that graduation stage. And look, the biggest danger here isn't some sci-fi movie plot with killer robots. No, the real threat is way more subtle, and it's happening as we speak. We're calling it the atrophy trap. I want you to think of your brain like a muscle. Seriously. When you just ask AI to write your essay for you, you're not just cheating on an assignment, you're cheating your own brain. That struggle, staring at a blank page and figuring out how to build an argument from scratch, that's the workout. That's how those cognitive muscles get stronger. If you outsource the struggle, those muscles just weaken, they atrophy. And this right here, it just lays out the two paths so perfectly. You've got the outsourcer on one side. They use AI to do the thinking for them. Sure, they might graduate with a nice GPA, but there's nothing behind it, no real skills. They are literally training to be replaced by the very software they used to cheat. But then you have the orchestrator. They use AI as a tool to learn faster, to go deeper. They're not asking for the answer. They're directing the AI to help them master the concept. So let's be crystal clear about this. Your immediate competition isn't some future robot. It's the student sitting right there in your class, the one who's already using AI to learn a new coding language this weekend, or to build a killer business plan by Tuesday, all while you're still just highlighting a textbook by hand. That is the real threat. So how do you become an orchestrator? How do you sidestep that atrophy trap? Well, it's not magic. It comes down to a clear blueprint, and it's built on 3 pillars you absolutely have to master. Let's kick things off with pillar 1. The very first thing you need to do is completely change how you talk to AI. Stop treating it like a glorified Google search. You have to master what this slide calls advanced prompt architecture. Now, that sounds complicated, but it's actually pretty simple. It means you're not just asking a basic question, you're building a whole world for the AI. You give it a role to play, a context to work in, and a very specific goal. This is what turns it from a dumb tool into your own elite personal tutor. I mean, just look at this example. This is incredible. This person isn't asking for a summary of mitosis. They're directing the AI to become a specific persona, an elite tutor that's going to challenge them, force them to explain things in their own words, and pinpoint the exact gaps in their knowledge. This is how you use AI to build your brain, not just bypass it. All right, let's move on to pillar 2. Okay, this next pillar builds on that whole idea of personalized learning. Let's face it, the world doesn't need people who just know one thing anymore. It needs creative problem solvers. In the past, it was really hard for, say, a history major to learn some coding. There was just too much friction. But AI completely demolishes that friction. It becomes your personal sandbox, letting you mix and match disciplines and fill in the gaps in your own skill set. So what does this actually look like? Well, if you're a history major, you can use AI to help you build an interactive digital map, and guess what? You'll learn some basic code along the way. Business major, you can have an AI act as a ruthless negotiator to practice for the real thing. Your value is no longer just what's in your major. It's about your ability to connect the dots between different fields. And that brings us to the final piece of the puzzle, pillar 3. And this brings us to the third, and honestly, maybe the most important pillar of all, the human premium. Think about it. As AI starts churning out an endless flood of content that's polished but kind of average, the value of just good enough is going to plummet. Your real, lasting advantage is going to come from the skills that are uniquely, powerfully human. AI can generate 1,000 ideas, sure, but it can't feel which one will resonate with people. It can't decide which problems are actually worth solving in the first place. That takes judgment. It takes taste. It takes empathy. Your real edge in this new world lies in critical thinking, communication, leadership, all the things AI simply cannot replicate. Okay, this all sounds great in theory, I get it. But how do you actually start? Where do you begin? Right here. We've got a concrete 30-day action plan to take you from being a passive user to a full-on orchestrator. So let's break it down real quick. Week 1 is your audit. Just be a detective. Watch how you work. What tasks are slow, repetitive, or just suck the life out of you? Boom. Those are your first targets for AI. In week 2, you flip the switch from passive to active. Pick your hardest subject and use that Socratic method we talked about. Make the AI debate you, challenge you, and show you where you're weak. Week 3 is all about connection. Dump all your notes from different classes into one place and use AI to be your research assistant, finding all these wild, surprising links you never would have seen. And finally, week 4 is for building. Stop just writing essays. Create something real, a simple app, a data project, a business pitch. Because in the real world, what you can do speaks so much louder than a grade on a paper. And so, here we are, right back where we started. It all comes down to a choice. And there really is no middle ground anymore. The time for just casually using AI to get by is over. The divide is here, between the people who let AI do their thinking for them and those who use it to think better, faster, and deeper than ever before. The crazy thing is, knowledge isn't the barrier anymore. These tools are available to everyone. The only thing left that truly matters is your ambition. Everything you could possibly need to learn and grow at a speed that was unimaginable just a few years ago is literally at your fingertips. So the only real question left to ask yourself is this: what are you going to learn today?
Okay, let's dive into this. Welcome to today's Explainer, where we're tackling a massive, incredibly common struggle, mastering focus in a completely scattered world. Today, we're looking at the brilliant philosophy of mastery, and specifically, why spreading your bets way too early is just a guaranteed recipe for burnout. We're going to be drawing on some really powerful insights from acclaimed author Robert Greene, who breaks down exactly why focusing on the one thing right in front of you is the ultimate key to success.
Here is our roadmap for today. We'll hit the multitasking trap, finding your through line, resource accumulation, the wisdom of mentors, and finally, the illusion of envy. Let's get right into it.
Let me ask you something, and I want you to answer this honestly. Are you doing too much? Are you feeling that daily friction? Just the absolute exhaustion of spreading yourself incredibly thin? You know, so many of us are desperately trying to achieve mastery in this world, yet we're literally drowning in divided attention.
And it makes sense, right? Because every single day we're just bombarded by modern temptations. You meet these super ambitious people who are like, oh, I'm doing this little crypto thing on the side. I've got this hair business over there. I'm starting a media company, and I'm also getting into health and fitness. With the internet, the possibilities are literally infinite. You can learn anything, you can start anything. But as we're about to see, this infinite buffet of opportunities is actually a massive danger to your success.
Section 1. The multitasking trap and the illusion of infinite options. There's this really fascinating story in our source material about a 20-year-old creator. Now, he's wealthy, he's successful, but he's dangerously scattered across completely unrelated businesses. We're talking crypto, fitness, media. He's just spread out everywhere. The absolutely crucial lesson here is this: don't start from what's sexy. You cannot look at what other people are doing or whatever the hot new trend is and try to build a lasting foundation on it. If you're doing things just for the money without an internal anchor, you're going to flounder for years. It has to start from within. Which leads us to step 2, finding your through line and connecting the dots. So think back to that incredibly successful 20-year-old who was scattered across crypto, fitness, sports, and media. The big question to ask, and really this is the question you need to ask yourself about your own scattered pursuits, is what connects them all? What is actually in your heart? In his case, it turns out he's genuinely excited by celebrities and the glamorous world. So the hidden link connecting all his scattered interests could actually be the film business. Think about it. The film business is wide-ranging. You're a producer, you're raising money, networking, dealing with stars. It satisfies all those varied interests, but critically, it's focused.
And that right there is what we call the internal through line. You absolutely must find the core passion that links everything together. Because if you don't love it, the wheels are eventually going to fall off. I mean, think about it. If you're meant to be a writer, but you decide to go to law school just because you want a big paycheck, you might skid by for a year or two, but eventually, you'll slow down. You just aren't deeply connected to it. You're going to get bored, and your focus will completely fall to pieces.
So an internal through line is this unifying passion that starts from the heart. It's this brilliant concept derived from Robert Greene's philosophy, and it allows you to maintain deep focus for 7, 8, 10, or even 12 years without ever getting bored. When you focus on something starting from your heart, the whole world opens up to you. This internal foundation is exactly what prevents you from skidding to a halt.
Section 3. Resource Accumulation Phase and Building the Foundation.
Look, especially in the early seasons of life, you do not have Elon Musk-level resources, so you can't act like it. There is an exact sequence required for success here. Step 1 is the resource accumulation phase. That means focusing heavily on one thing to build deep skills and capital. Only then do you ever reach Step 2, the expansion phase, where you can actually spread your bets. Skipping Step 1 is basically a guaranteed failure.
Section 4. The Wisdom of Mentors and the Harsh Truth. Take this story of an 18-year-old entrepreneur who got distracted. He pitched his very first investor a brand new idea that was entirely unrelated to the business the investor had just funded. Well, the investor fired back an email that hit like a whip. He said, if you don't focus on one thing now, you will never, ever be successful. See, by jumping around, you literally rob yourself of the chance to accumulate deep skills. Wise mentors know this truth.
And hey, this applies to massive companies too. Look at American Apparel back in 2007. Right as the company was about to go public, a wise mentor gave this exact same advice regarding the company's leader. He said, just make sure that he doesn't mindlessly expand. Make the brand focused, have it focused on one thing, and then he will be successful. Mindless expansion is the enemy of mastery, for sure, no matter how big or small you are.
Section 5. The illusion of envy and why the grass isn't actually greener. What happens when your focused pursuit gets hard? You look across the street. You see a friend doing crypto bragging about how much easy money they've made. So you start pursuing that second thing, and your first business suffers. People create this glorious front on Instagram or TikTok. It looks like easy money. It looks like they're having a blast. But it's a total facade. The internal reality is very often misery and boredom. They are never having as much fun as you imagine.
Need the ultimate proof of this? The source brings up a staggering historical example from Robert Greene's Laws of Human Nature, Aristotle Onassis. In the 1960s, this guy was the wealthiest man in the entire world. He had the mega yachts, the endless money, and he was even married to John F. Kennedy's widow, the glamorous Jacqueline Kennedy. From the outside looking in, who could possibly be happier? Literally everyone envied him. But internally, he was the most unhappy, miserable person in the world.
And this isn't just speculation. This quote comes directly from Jacqueline Kennedy herself in her autobiography. She said he was such a mean-spirited, unhappy person. The external perfection meant absolutely nothing. The reality is, the people you're envying across the street, the ones distracting you from your single focus, are not doing nearly as well as you think they are. Do not let the illusion of their success influence your life decisions and pull you away from your through line.
So, as we wrap up today's explainer, I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. What is your one thing? It's time to stop chasing infinite, sexy trends just for a quick buck. Look inside, find that unifying passion, your through line, and fully commit to the resource accumulation phase. Ignore those shiny facades of envy, build your deep skills, and just watch the world open up to you. Thanks so much for joining me today. Now go cut out the noise and find your one thing.